Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Proper Villains podcast. In today's episode, episode 4, Merc, the Short Squeeze, and the Vatican Bid. Sounds like something that runs deep and, frankly, might be best left in the vaults. I'm assuming that the Vatican bid wasn't exactly a common expression on the floor and an ending that one might not expect. So, hello, JJ. You want to introduce yourself?
Hi, hi Dolores. I'm JJ. I'm VWAP Trader One on X, and gosh, I've been in this crazy business for 34 years. I'm writing a book called Proper Villains, and we teach at tradingsyndicate.org. What I'm doing is I'm using the stories that my crazy life. I've kind of bounced into these crazy situations. I'm using these stories to illustrate what goes on in the markets and to help people manage risk and you take some lessons from, the people who actually move markets, and use it, to help the regular person make some money. So that's our quest, and we try and do it using a little bit of, you know, a little bit of panache.
Yeah. And some interesting stories. So,
Definitely.
all right. So let's dive right in today and tell us who Merc was and what the actual playbook for orchestrating a short is.
Sure. Merc was a nickname for a friend whose name is actually Mirko, and he was Croatian. He was half Croatian, half Italian. His mom was from Trieste, which is the town which is half Italian, half Croatian, in Italy.
Mhm.
And he was a bit of an interesting character. He used to be a power lifter at one time. And of course, this guy was introduced to me by my best friend Paulie, who lived in Miller Place next to Steve. So all of these characters I met through Paulie. Now, Mirko he was about 400 pounds, but solid. He had a head like a pumpkin. He was huge. He looked like, King Kong Bundy. Like he was like one of those like freakishly large human beings and a power lifter, but I don't know how he did it, but he had gotten a proper education and was working at CIBC Oppenheimer, which, is a white shoe firm, and he was managing $800 million. Um,
Wow.
and yeah, which was no small amount of money at that time. Now
No.
it's not, doesn't seem like much, but back then it was huge. So we never really had access to guys like this. He gave us access to that world, the upper echelons. Now, Merck had he had some interesting clients. If I can get into weird situations, he would get into weird situations times 100. So he was a bit of a strange dude, good guy, but you know, very peculiar. One of his clients happened to be the Vatican Bank, and the account that he had access to, I mean, they had trillions of dollars, literally.
Oh,
And
the
they're
Vatican
involved
Bank, sure.
in market deals. They're quite involved in finance. And Merck said they had this company that it was a pharmaceutical company, and they found that people were shorting the stock because they weren't selling it. It was almost like the stock was being held down. We suspected it had been in like some kind of a financier who was trying to get the financing at a better price. So he was trying to hold the stock down. But no one knew that the Vatican was involved. I mean, that's how these deals are done. Most of the stuff that you see going across your tape on a stock screen, the general public really has no idea who's behind this stuff. And sometimes, it could be the Vatican. Sometimes it could be a group of ex-CIA, uh, you know, black ops kind of people. I used to have
Mhm.
three ex-CIA guys as clients. So this was quite an interesting one. So we he reached out to me because I'm a mechanic, right? I've always been like a stock mechanic. So anytime people have a trouble with their stock, it's like, my car's got this oil light on, take it to JJ. Like
Yeah.
my stock's got an oil light, go see JJ, go get him to tear it apart. So after doing that, I kind of, I said, okay, we got to do this, this, and this. and if there's a hole here, we got to plug that hole, and that way, they won't be able to short the stock. They were using a clearing firm to hold a short position, which is something that, well, it's done still these days, but it's never talked about. So the stuff I'm talking about now, this is truly omerta. This is the Italian code of silence. Like, you don't talk about this stuff, right? And in finance now, if I even brought this up, people will go, "Oh, that was so long ago. That's not done now." Well, I mean, it happened on GameStop, right? I mean,
Yes.
it
Yeah.
happens all the time, right?
Yeah.
Things are not never what they seem, right? And it's always like a fog, and like it's always smoke and mirrors. And the reason I know this because I was the kid who had to refill the smoke machine, right? So I know that it's all smoke and mirrors. So we sat down. I never got to speak to the bank or anyone there at the Vatican. That was, it's like, I was like the country mechanic. The car stalls in the middle of the country.
Yeah.
The owner actually never sees, the chauffeur, which was Merco, of the car. He
Yeah.
takes it to the mechanic. And I never actually get to see who rides in the car, right? Which
Right.
is
Right.
probably a good thing, right?
Exactly.
It's probably a good
Especially
thing.
in Italy.
Oh my goodness, yeah, yeah. We we know Berlusconi and his the way they used to do business. Fascinating stuff,
Yeah.
but you really don't want to get into trouble with that kind of thing. So
No.
what I did was I told them, "Hey, they're using this clearing firm to hold a short position because they're famous for doing so." So all of a sudden, 3 weeks later, the stock's up from 5 to 10, $12, and this clearing firm's gone, just mysteriously disappeared.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean they're off the books. I mean there's like nobody got clipped. Nobody actually really disappeared, but they're away from the deal, right? So apparently someone must have tapped them on the shoulder and said, stop doing this, because that stopped right away. And we popped the stock from 5 to 12 and then up to 25. And eventually we got the stock up to $100 a share.
Wow.
You know, yeah, because we used the leverage of the people who were short. From $8 down to 5.
Okay.
We were making them buy it back at 20, 30 to $40 a share.
Wow.
And that's the principles of a short squeeze is that you leverage the people who have to buy it back to ramp the price up so the insiders can either sell or keep marking up the stock.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So how do you, like, as a trader, would you be able to see that?
You will see
What does
that
that
a
look
lot
like?
of the times. A lot of the times, well, I'll show people how to do that, how to find that in stocks. You'll see a stock all of a sudden move from like it'll be at say $3 to $5 for quite a while, and that'll be the accumulation of the position. That's when everybody's accumulating, and in that $3 to $5 range, if they're smart, they will try and induce a bunch of people to short it, which means spread a sort of a false impression that the company's a bad company
Okay.
and induce people to short it, right? Meanwhile, we're secretly buying up all the stock and
Okay.
placing it with our investors. So this is exactly what Elon Musk did with Tesla when he ran it from 300 to 1,000. He went on Joe Rogan and he smoked a marijuana cigarette. Everybody thought he was insane, and people dumped the stock and sold it. There's a bank called Bailey Gifford, right, which is a UK-based bank,
Uh,
right? It's a major investment firm, and they bought every single share.
Wow.
They bought every single share, yeah. And they had fund managers, certain types of fund managers who bought the stock and said, "I'm never selling it." So Bailey Gifford, right, was the bank, and they're in Edinburgh, Scotland, right? And they manage about 280 billion pounds, which is maybe $500 million,
Okay.
$500 billion, so half a trillion bucks. So
Wow.
they bought all the stock. So that's exactly what you do. On a smaller scale, we, used what we call the Vatican bid.
Okay.
We used their coffers to buy every single share back, right? And, I would hold the stock down, make it look weak, and they would be sitting there buying it like a vacuum cleaner,
Okay.
right?
This was all like
And
planned.
oh yeah, yeah. Every battle is won before it's fought. Sun
Okay.
Tzu, the Art of War, right? And on Wall Street, if you don't know that there's a battle being fought, you're probably going to be collateral damage, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's always some sort of a battle being fought, and it's not between the buyers and the sellers. It's between people who are in the deal, right?
Okay.
That's what creates the order flow, the agenda of those people.
Okay.
So yeah, we trapped everybody really hard under five, moved it up to 8, 9, 10, and once it broke 12, people started getting really nervous and started covering. So what happens is when you own all of the supply, then
Right.
you can arbitrarily move the price up and down as much as you want.
Right.
So you can move, you get them to buy a little bit. Like, so say, for example, you get somebody who's short 100,000 shares at $7,
Okay.
and now it's 12, right? And they go and they say, I need to buy stock at 12. Well, you go, I can sell you 5,000 shares there. Right now, they need to buy 100,000 shares, and
Right.
you go, I can sell you five.
Right.
And then they go, where do you stand? I go, I'm offered at 13. Right? So you can buy it at 13 now. So what can you sell me at 13? I can sell you 10,000 shares at 13.
Yeah.
So now they've bought back only 15,000 of the 100,000 that they need to buy
They
back.
need. Right.
Right? So they go, how do you stand? I go, my next offer is 15, and I can do 10 at 15. Right? So now that you get them. By the time it's 25, they're still short 50,000.
Right.
Right? So they're short. They're
Right.
coming to you begging for stock, right? And so the way I didn't get killed, and this is how market makers have been for thousands of years. It's a client order, right? The sell order is a client order. It's not me. So
Right.
you go, I'm sorry, my client went away. So we got the stock up to $25. They come to me to buy it because they know I'm a seller, right?
Right.
And I'm like, my client went away. I don't have a sell order this morning, right? And they go to buy it to 25, and then we yank the price up to 40.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
right.
you're controlling the price.
My client is controlling the supply, telling me where to sell,
Right.
right?
Right. Because they have
But
enough.
of course, we've already talked about this and orchestrated it first,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Nothing that you see that happens on these screens is random or an accident.
Right.
There's some pretty major players involved. They are insanely well capitalized, very sophisticated, and everything is planned out. They don't put $200 million into a company and just hope that it works out.
Right.
They have control, right? They don't risk money unless they have control.
Right.
And that's how smart money operates. We are always trying to catch a ride on the bus. They're the ones who built the bus and are driving it, right?
Yeah.
That's the whole different story.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, so that was a that was a good one. And yeah, it was just one of the situations. And Mirko was, I know this is a family-friendly podcast, but he was a freak. He was married. Thank God he didn't have children. But he was married, and he would go to this is a 400-pound man, right? So you
Yeah.
can picture this. He'd go down to Brazil and hire three prostitutes and do Viagra and drugs for 4 days. How his heart didn't
Wow.
explode. Polly and I would Polly. I'd be like, "Where's Mark?" He goes, he's in Brazil. I mean, he'd be disappeared for like a week. We
Wow.
wouldn't hear from him, right? And we were all just waiting to see. Oh my God, somebody's gonna call and say he's dead, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And because he's so heavy, they can't move the body, right?
No.
So, that's this was what we constantly were talking about, that sort of
Yeah.
thing. And it was just, he was it was a strange guy because he was really really well spoken when he had to be. And to trade for the Vatican, he went through the some of the stuff that he told us they did to him to when he was going through the approval process was pretty severe. It was almost like Spetsnaz training, for the Soviet special forces.
Oh my God.
It was, oh my God, some of the stuff they did to him was like it's like Da Vinci Quest kind of thing, the Da Vinci Code kind of thing.
Yeah.
So he had that personality. Then he had this total, I guess because the so much stress and everything. When he wanted to unwind, he completely unwound, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you could call it that, he was a degenerate, right?
Yeah.
In fact, I mean, I never went out with him at night because I would probably end up dead,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of people that you do business with that sometimes you have to, and
Yeah.
you like them, but you wouldn't go out at night with them because you probably wouldn't return
Uh,
because they're so extreme in the trouble they get into.
yeah.
Like, with him, you could be like in a New York City steakhouse, and at 3 in the morning you're on a freighter on the way to Panama,
Oh my
right?
gosh. Yeah.
Yeah, like you never know, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just he's one of those kind of people that you could write a TV show about,
Yeah. Yeah.
his crazy adventures, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, there were a lot of these guys, and he was like a character, like a cartoon character, like a
Yeah.
real life cartoon character.
I was
Yeah,
gonna say you know a lot of characters. But before we continue on with the
true.
podcast,
Yeah,
why don't you just give everybody a brief statement about where they can find you and learn
sure.
about trading?
Sure. So the room that we operate is tradingsyndicate.org. So it's tradingsyndicate.org. And our mission statement, our life goal is to take regular people and teach them how to make money without all the gibberish, without all the stress. There's a simple way to do business in this business.
Hmm.
And what I try and do is give practical advice and give people practical mechanical setups of buying and selling stocks, futures, whatever you're trading. So you understand why you're taking the trade and you understand why the trade works and then when it doesn't, how to get out of it. So we train you like a fighter pilot. So after a while, it's like making coffee or backing your car to the garage. We want
Okay.
to make the trading process, we want to make it so you don't have to think about it once you're trained. You will be trained how to act and react. And this way, our traders, like my best traders in my coaching program, they'll make 50, $100,000 in a month, and they'll have like one day where they lose money. It'll be like $2,000
Okay.
compared to $100,000 a month. So
Right.
we teach people how to be cheap, which is
Yeah.
something that I learned from the Penguin. We don't lose money because smart money doesn't lose money.
No.
You know, or like that one client I had who made $7 million in a week and stiffed the guy who was painting his fence $1,500.
Yeah.
You know, we want you to be that cheap in the market.
Yeah.
Just I call it being a cheap bastard, right?
Yeah.
So, and I want people to make money and keep it,
Yeah.
right? That's my big goal is to
Yeah.
take regular people and give them the knowledge without overwhelming them, like because it is simple. It's not
Correct.
easy, but it's simple, and that's
Right.
what we teach. It's got to be practical.
Yeah. And you got to learn
Yeah,
the right way. And like we've discussed before, limit
exactly.
losses.
Exactly, right? It's
Yeah.
okay if we don't make a lot of money today as long as we have enough money tomorrow to keep doing business,
Right.
right?
Right.
You know?
Okay, so real quick, back to this Vatican bid thing. It all sounds like it's like insider information type of stuff, like you're
Oh, it
controlling.
is.
So, in from a person that wants to trade, is it something that you don't want to get involved in, or is it
These
how do you want to approach it? Like, can you trade
there
against it if you know what
well,
you're doing?
I I sort of and I know this I'll probably catch some flack with the woke people about this. I look at stocks like girls. When you're young, there's some girls that are absolutely beautiful, right? But they're dangerous,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you know that there is probably an 80% probability that the next morning you're going to wake up in a bathtub full of ice missing a kidney, right? Those girls, you want to go there, but you might come back missing a finger or something, right?
Not a good
I
idea.
tell Rita, yeah, And then there are stocks that are reliable, right?
Okay.
And they're not as flashy. But Steve, in our room, he has this thing called a 9 EMA trade where when the stock breaks a certain uh, exponential moving average, he'll buy it. And there are certain stocks that he's back tested that just ride that EMA just nicely. There's no drama. There's no big,
Right.
huge candles up and down. It's just nice. And when it breaks, he gets out, right?
Yeah.
So he makes his money. There's no drama. And those are the kind of stocks I tell these stories. And number one is stuff to avoid is stuff like this,
Right.
right? It's great if you have 100 million shares and you bought them at a nickel, and you're selling them at $50 a share. That's beautiful, but
Yeah.
that's not for us, right? Because we're not doing deal. We want to show people. And then the other thing is sometimes I'll look at a stock or I'll look even when we're trading the ES and I'll go, and people are like, I want to short it. I'm like, no, it's the Vatican bid, right? If I say it's the Vatican bid, that means that there's a
You
strong buyer or
don't want to
somebody's
get
really
involved.
trapped short. Don't get involved in that.
Yeah.
That's like standing in front of a cement truck being driven by a guy who doesn't have sight,
Yeah.
right? You
No
just
breaks.
just no, yeah, he's blind and he's got no brakes, right? You just don't know which way he's gonna go. You don't know, so just trade the boring stocks,
Yeah.
right? Because that's where the money is made in the boredom in this business,
Right.
right? There's a lot of excitement, and God knows I've seen a lot of it from the inside,
Right.
right?
Well,
But
you've
the
seen it from
lesson
the other side.
exactly, I've seen it from the other side, so I can see me selling 2 million shares of a stock at $40 a share, and then having the price just collapse the
Yeah.
next day,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
I'm like, and I never thought about the people who bought it until I
Right.
started talking to them.
Yeah.
Once I started talking to them, I was like, oh my God, I feel horrible, right?
Yeah.
So I got to tell these people, to stay away from this stuff and trade the boring stuff. The boring stuff is where the money is. It's not
Yeah.
glamorous, but at least you have your kidneys and you have your hair at the end of the day. You know.
Might not look pretty, but it's gonna work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's interesting. So, but that's good. So, I'm sure in today's world, because you traded back in the 90s, things were a lot different, especially up where you were. Um, so in today's games, we have a lot more lawyers and regulators, but the core idea of supply and demand and who's really controlling it hasn't changed, correct?
No, nothing has changed. Uh, what has changed are the players. The players have gotten bigger and much more capitalized. The amount of capital that these people have now that do deals is just absolutely unbelievable. It's absolutely
Yeah.
unbelievable, to see what kind of money these people are playing with. So you'll see people get into a deal, and it's nothing for them to put 50 million behind it and pull 500 million out the other side.
Wow.
So the numbers have gotten, because from the small penny stock promoter with a guy with a briefcase who works out of, like, a packaged office kind of thing where there's just a post box. It's gone from that to the small funds, and I mean the under like $1 billion funds. And there's a lot of these guys who do deals, and they're printing like 100, $200 million a day.
Wow.
So the amounts of money have gotten just staggering,
Right.
absolutely staggering. It's quite something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what kind of advice would you give to the brand new trader other than, I know they could come and watch you trade.
Uh,
So, the whole concept is just being balanced, simple.
yeah. What we do is I have a 5-step method that I teach every trader. It's how to do the same 5 things every morning, and that way it gives us a framework in which to work. So we only take trades when we're first starting out, when the business does this, this, and this, does two or three things. we teach them how to look for that, and
Hmm.
then we teach them how to execute it. So first, I teach people how to look and see what information they really need. There's a lot of information in markets that doesn't benefit you at all.
Okay.
Like looking at there's so much data that you can so easily get into trouble because you're not looking at what's important.
Right.
So I focus them on one or two really important things, which are inventory and cost basis, right? And then we teach them how to execute around that. So every trade has a business reason to take it, a business reason to stay in it, and when that business reason goes away, so do we.
Okay.
So we take our money off the table. It's very, very, it's very, very interesting. And this way we can stay out of the drama because, I mean, there's still drama going on. I
Oh
mean, there
my
was an
gosh, every
article.
day.
Oh yeah, there's an article in Bloomberg
Yeah.
yesterday about a cocaine bust in Spain and how it leads all the way to Wall Street,
Yeah.
right? They found 13 tons of cocaine, right? That was supposed to be bananas, right?
Yeah.
The ensuing investigation revealed a financial network used to launder the money using a SPAC, a special purpose acquisition vehicle,
Yeah. Wow.
out of Newport Beach, right? So that is a Nasdaq listed company,
Yeah.
and that raised 200 million from investors last year, and they're laundering cocaine. So it's like if you have
Wow.
200, 300, 400 million dollars, it's very easy to move another couple hundred million through that. That's
Wow.
dirty money, and it
Yeah.
still happens.
Yeah.
They're still talking about it. It's in Bloomberg. You can go read it.
Yeah.
So
Well,
none of this stuff has stopped.
yeah. Well, it's funny
you
you say
know.
that because we were on a trip over in Europe recently,
Hmm.
and we went to a place in France. We went to Marseille and
Marseille. Yeah.
Marseille, and they were talking
Marseille.
about the
Yeah.
French
Yeah.
Connection, and I never knew what that was.
Oh yeah.
And then they told me, I was like, oh. I mean, it was really, it's like you say, it was interesting. And they wound up, they got a bad rap for that whole French Connection deal. And they're trying now to change their uh,
Okay.
their image. But it's funny you say that because that's exactly what that story you just told me reminded me of when we heard it over there.
Oh, and I should have told you guys, Marseille is a very dangerous city if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Oh, really?
It's very dangerous. There's a lot of there's actually a really good TV show on Netflix called Marseille with Gerard Depardieu.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and it's really good. It shows the corruption and the gangs, and there's
Wow.
an enormous amount of stuff that you don't see. Even when we were at the train station in Marseille,
Uh-huh.
we were going to Nice, and
Oh, we went to Nice.
yeah, and luckily I speak fluent French. Otherwise, we would have had
Good
to stay
thing.
in Marseille for a night. But when we were in the station, my girlfriend, I'm like, hold on to your purse, hold on, and I could see guys like eyeing us up to see whether they could rob us, right?
Wow.
I could see them, right? And they'd walk by and I'd look at them and I'd smile and I'd go, "Pas aujourd'hui," which means not today, right?
Yeah.
Like I know what you're trying to do. Get away from us,
Wow.
right? Go
Wow.
pick it. Yeah, Marseille is like there are places in that city that you do not want to go. It's a rough town, right?
Yeah.
But Nice is completely that's the
Yeah, we
showy
were
place.
we were around in just around in the harbor area
Yeah.
where we when we were in there. But yeah, we went to Nice and Essay, I guess they call it, or Issay,
Okay. Okay.
somewhere. Yeah, it was kind of like in there. It was nice. It was pretty.
Oh,
We
it's
went
beautiful. Nice is
to other
amazing.
parts of like northern Italy. Portofino was beautiful,
Okay.
the waterfront. We went to Monaco and Monte Carlo.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was very interesting. And
That's great.
we went to back to Italy this year, and last year we were in Rome, and we didn't have the most pleasant of experiences. I was trying to keep Stephen out of trouble. He was chasing down migrants that were ripping people off outside the Colosseum.
Yeah,
It
that's
was like jam-packed with people last year when we were at the Colosseum. There was 25th Jubilee going on in Rome, so it was like tons and tons of people. So these migrants were selling water and umbrellas because it happened to be raining
Yeah,
today too.
yeah,
And they would say, oh, it's $1 or $5 or something. So you would take out your euros. So if it was $1 and you handed them a five, they would take your five and run. They were literally stealing from people, right? So Stephen's watching this all go down, right? And he's convinced he's going to stop these people.
oh no,
So
no.
so of course, these young girls were getting the water, and the guy takes the money, and Steven starts chasing him. The guy jumps over the fence into like a grassy area. I don't know what he was saying because he wasn't speaking English, and we didn't understand what he was saying. So eventually, like the police come, right, and they're all talking. They take the guy's water, all right. They makes them give the girls back the money, and they leave. And then we're sitting there because we're waiting to get into the Coliseum. And 10 minutes later, these guys are back selling water. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It was crazy. But this year, when we went, you can't even, they have that whole street in and around the Coliseum closed and blocked off to traffic.
Yeah.
And they had like military at each of the points, and they weren't as aggressive with trying to sell stuff. They kind of like if you told them no, they stayed away from you. Except Steven said, I'm not going to move out of their way. They're going to have to move out of mine.
Typical. Long Island goes
We
to
didn't
Rome.
get into any
Yeah.
trouble, JJ.
That's good. That's good. See, it happens, everyone's trying to work a scam, whether it's in the market or on
Yeah.
the street.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
it's
Yeah,
all
you no
around us.
kidding.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so yeah,
But I
Rome.
know
When
what
you
you
said you
mean.
were
It's
in
like
Rome,
hold the purse close, and I'm very aware of my surroundings.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
was pretty
and
good.
that's what we teach our traders. Hold the purse close,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because there'll be a lot of situations where you'll be like, oh, that looks good, or oh, that looks exciting.
Yeah.
No, don't go there.
No, no. And it's funny. I get even funny about like buying stuff from street vendors. I feel like I need to go into a store that's legitimate or something. So I don't
That's
know.
funny.
But yeah,
Yeah. So
we had a good time in Europe. We really enjoyed Barcelona. Barcelona
oh,
was
it's a beautiful city. Yeah,
yeah.
these are
Yeah.
places that I love. And
Yeah.
Rome at night. If I was 25 again, I'd be living in Rome, and I'd probably sleep all day and go out all night. It's just amazing.
Yeah, well, I
Rome at
could hear all
3 a.m.
this
is
noise at
amazing.
like 1 o'clock in the morning. I could hear people outside on the
Oh,
streets.
oh yeah, that's the best times.
Yeah.
Like 1 to 4 in the morning in Rome is that's the sweet spot.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know?
okay. Yeah, it was nice. We had a good time. So
Yeah,
really
that's
enjoyed
great.
it. So, all
Good.
right. So
Memories
before
of the
we wrap
Vatican.
up, another interesting episode. You told me at the beginning about Merc, and there was a
Yeah,
very interesting plot twist to the end of this gentleman that you know, or do you still know
exactly.
him?
Yeah. And so one day, Polly calls me up and he goes, Merc passed away. And I'm like, what? Okay, so I'm like, did he have a heart attack or something like that? And they're like, no, he got bitten by a fly and got sick from this insect bite and died. And as soon as he said that, my spider sense just like started tingling, right?
Uh-huh.
Because Mark used to hang out with this other billionaire client of mine, which we used to call the Freak, and that'll be another podcast. But
Yeah.
I introduced them, and they were like Fred and Barney, in the Flintstones. They were
Yeah.
always together, and they literally looked like Fred and Barney. So I'm like, wait a minute. So Paulie goes to the funeral. I mean, to the funeral, and he says there's something wrong with the body, right? Because the body of the person is like half of the size of the man that we knew. So I'm like, so immediately me with my background and the people I do business with, I'm like, oh, he faked his death,
Yeah.
right? The ex was getting too close, and certain business people were getting too close. So I'm convinced that Merck is living in Argentina, you know, having the time of his life,
Yeah.
and completely, because I still remember when he got divorced, his wife hired a forensic accountant and paid the guy like $150,000, and he couldn't find a dime. So like
Oh
Merck
my
was,
gosh.
like when you trade for people like the Vatican, you know how to hide money, right?
Yeah.
You'll have like 10 different structures spanned across 20 countries. Good
Wow.
luck,
No trail, no
right?
paper trail.
No trail, no paper trail, right? It's like there's an
Wow.
account here owned by a trust here, owned by this, owned by that, and then, it dead ends in an island where there's one lawyer and, he won't take on any other clients, so that's it.
Yeah.
It's crazy the way these guys, in fact, Merck had a guy who did nothing but set up offshore, like ways to hide money. He'd call me up and he'd go, JJ, check this out. I got a company in Cayman Islands owned by a trust in Belize, owned by this, owned by that. Then it back traces. And I'd be like, I used to call him Doctor Documents, right? And he would like, you need a fake passport? Don't worry, I got you. I mean, no, I'm okay. I'm okay.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that, Doctor Documents facilitated Merck's disappearance.
Yes, there you
You
go.
know,
He's living in
yeah.
Argentina.
Hopefully somewhere warm and joining. And if you're listening, which you're probably not, I hope you're having a good time, brother.
Yeah. All right. JJ, this again was another very interesting episode of the Proper Villains. So one more time. One, is there anything else you would like to tell the audience? And two, where can they find you?
Okay, they can find me at tradingsyndicate.org. And I'm also VWAP Trader 1, that's VWAP Trader, and then the number 1 on X. And you can get a hold of me anytime if you need any help or you're having trouble with your trading, just reach out.
Okay. Sounds great. All right. That wraps up episode number 4. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.